He is one of the most recognizable faces in history, printed on flags, posters, T-shirts, and murals across the world. To some, he is a heroic symbol of resistance and revolution. To others, a ruthless Marxist militant responsible for violence and executions. But who was the real Che Guevara? Behind the iconic beret and steely gaze was a man driven by ideology, illness, ambition, and an unshakable belief that armed revolution was the only path to justice. This is the full story of Ernesto Che Guevara, his rise, his beliefs, his contradictions, and his controversial legacy. Ernesto Guevara de la Serna was born on June 14, 1928, in Rosario, Argentina, into a middle-class family with progressive political views. From a very young age, Ernesto suffered from severe asthma, a condition so intense that it often left him bedridden and gasping for breath. Ironically, this illness shaped his personality, forcing discipline, resilience, and an intense inner toughness. Despite his health issues, he excelled academically and became an avid reader, consuming books on philosophy, poetry, Marxism, Freud, and world politics. Friends described him as intelligent but intense, quiet, yet opinionated, emotionally distant but deeply principled. He developed a strong sense of social justice, influenced by inequality he observed in Latin America. Che enrolled at the University of Buenos Aires to study medicine, specializing in dermatology and later leprosy research. But his worldview changed forever in 1951, when he and his friend Alberto Granado embarked on a 9-month motorcycle journey across South America. During this trip, Che witnessed extreme poverty, exploited miners, indigenous communities living without health care, workers crushed by multinational corporations. At a leper colony in Peru, he treated patients without gloves, rejecting social stigma. This journey radicalized him. In his diary, he wrote, "I am not the same person I was." Che no longer wanted to be just a doctor. He wanted to change the system itself. During his medical studies, Guevara became increasingly disturbed by the inequalities he witnessed around him. Hospitals lacked basic supplies, rural communities had no access to doctors, and indigenous populations were systematically ignored. These experiences convinced him that medicine alone could not cure what he saw as deeply rooted social injustice. He began to believe that only radical political change could address the suffering of the poor across Latin America. It was during this period that Che started reading Marxist literature, including the works of Karl Marx, Friedrich Engels, and Lenin. These ideas deeply shaped his worldview, reinforcing his belief that capitalism was responsible for exploitation and poverty. Gradually, Guevara shifted from wanting to heal individuals as a doctor to wanting to heal society through revolution. After graduating in 1953, Che traveled through Bolivia, Peru, Guatemala, and Mexico, observing U.S. political influence in Latin America. In Guatemala, he witnessed the CIA-backed overthrow of President Jacobo Arbenz, who had attempted land reforms. This moment convinced Che that peaceful reform was impossible under U.S. imperialism. It was in Mexico that Che met Fidel Castro in 1955. After hours of discussion, Che joined Castro's revolutionary group aiming to overthrow Cuban dictator Fulgencio Batista. At this point, Ernesto Guevara earned his famous nickname, Che, an Argentine slang word he frequently used. Che quickly distinguished himself within Fidel Castro's revolutionary group. Though originally recruited as a doctor, he proved to be disciplined, fearless, and ideologically committed. Over time, he transitioned from medic to combat commander, earning respect for both his strategic thinking and strict discipline. He was known to demand absolute loyalty and sacrifice from fellow revolutionaries. While admired by supporters for his integrity and courage, Che was also feared for his uncompromising nature. He believed revolution required moral purity, personal sacrifice, and a willingness to use violence if necessary. In 1956, Che and 81 revolutionaries sailed to Cuba aboard the Granma. Most were killed or captured shortly after landing. Che survived. In the Sierra Maestra Mountains, Che transformed from doctor to soldier, then to commandante. He became known for strict discipline, ruthless enforcement, executing suspected traitors. Yet he was also respected for sharing hardships equally and refusing privileges. By January 1959, Batista fled Cuba. The revolution succeeded. Che Guevara was now a national hero. After the revolution, Che held several powerful positions. Head of La Habana prison, President of the National Bank of Cuba, Minister of Industries. During this period, hundreds of executions were carried out under revolutionary tribunals. Che openly defended these actions, stating, "Revolutionary justice is based on moral conviction." Economically, Che rejected capitalism and attempted to rapidly industrialize Cuba. His policies largely failed, contributing to shortages and economic decline. Despite this, Che became a global symbol of anti-imperialism, traveling to the United Nations, Africa, Asia. But he grew disillusioned with bureaucracy and political compromise. Che believed true revolution must be global. In 1965, he secretly left Cuba to support revolutions abroad, first in the Congo, then in Bolivia. Both missions failed. In Bolivia, he lacked local support, supplies, communication, Cuban backup. The CIA tracked him closely. On October 8, 1967, Che was captured by Bolivian forces. The next day, on October 9, he was executed without trial. His final words were reportedly, "Shoot, coward. You are only killing a man." He was 39 years old. Che Guevara's death transformed him into a martyr. The famous photograph, Guerrillero Heroico, became one of the most reproduced images in history. Today, Che represents revolution, resistance, anti-capitalism, rebellion. But he also represents political violence, authoritarian ideology, failed economic policies. Che Guevara remains one of the most polarizing figures of the 20th century. Hero or villain? Visionary or extremist? Perhaps Che is best understood not as a symbol, but as a man shaped by his time, driven by conviction, and consumed by ideology.